This episode is brought to you by FX's The Beauty Official Podcast. Join host Evan Ross Katz on the official podcast for FX's hottest new series, The Beauty, taking you behind the scenes with its amazing stars as they discuss the show's most jaw-dropping moments. Featuring Evan Peters, Anthony Ramos, Jeremy Pope, Ashton Kutcher, Rebecca Hall, Bella Hadid, Meghan Trainor, Isabella Rossellini, Jessica Alexander, and Ari Grainer. Search FX's The Beauty wherever you listen to podcasts.
Welcome back to the Advantage Playback. I'm Katie, and I hope you packed a neck brace because the whiplash is getting severe.
Systems are online. Are you experiencing vertigo, Katie?
A little bit. 2 days ago, we were in 2026 watching TRG fight a robot in the war room. Today, we are doing the slingshot maneuver around the sun. We are hurtling back to the very beginning.
We are targeting episode 2. The title is Finding the House Minimum Advantage.
It feels like we stepped into a phone booth and dialed 0 for origin story. It is the spring of 2020. The world is just starting to crack the doors open after the lockdown.
It was a primitive time, and the audio production reflects that. Did you log the opening sponsorship?
I laughed out loud. In 2026, he's Volcanic Dingo LLC. In episode 2, he literally says, today's episode is sponsored by the letter K.
Because that's how we spell combat. It is charmingly analog. It sounds like Sesame Street for card counters.
It really does. And the tone is so different, Kyle. He isn't the battle-hardened veteran yet. He sounds like Professor TRG.
An accurate assessment. He is standing at the chalkboard explaining that slot machines hold 15% and why gambling is a morally questionable life choice.
He's teaching the ABCs. But even in these early days, the heavy hitters are showing up. We have a confirmed sighting of a king.
LeBron James.
And perhaps more importantly for the long-term strategy, we get the origin story of a critical asset, a man named Bubba.
The first host contact. The foundation is being poured. Shall we verify the structural integrity?
Let's do it. Hit me with the battle plan.
Negative. In the spring of 2020, the battle plan did not exist. At this stage of the simulation, TRG simply referred to it as the format.
The format. It sounds so analog. But looking at the rundown, it's basically the exact same skeleton we see today.
The architecture was stable from the beginning. Item 1. Core concepts. He is taking us to math class. We are comparing house advantage across the floor. Slots versus blackjack.
Item 2. Casino wisdom. We are jumping all the way to entry number 93.
What to do when you win. It involves tax envelopes and charity. It is surprisingly responsible.
Item 3. The travel segment. This is the big one. He talks about building a casino cluster and accidentally reconnecting with an old asset named Bubba.
And finally, the VIP lounge, where TRG shares a table with LeBron James and pretends not to notice.
Classic TRG, pretending to be cool while sitting next to royalty. But first, we have to go to summer school. Let's talk about that math lesson.
We are entering the classroom. TRG is at the chalkboard and the lesson is titled House Advantage.
And he starts with a coin flip. He explains that if you play heads or tails with a casino, you bet $1, and if you win, they pay you 90 cents.
It is the fundamental tax of the industry. The rigging isn't illegal, it is simply the cost of doing business. But then he lays out the hierarchy of pain.
The slot machines. In his state, the law says they have to pay back 85%.
Which means the house keeps 15%. For every $100 you run through that machine, you are lighting $15 on fire. It is statistically offensive.
But then we start climbing the ladder. Roulette, the house edge drops to 5.26%.
Better, but TRG calls it boring. Then craps drops to 1.36%, and then baccarat drops to 1.06% on the banker bet.
I loved his strategy for baccarat. He said you don't need to know the rules. You just find a seat, bet bank.
It is the algorithm for the lazy man. But the Holy Grail, the reason we are all here, is blackjack.
The numbers are staggering. If you play correctly, the house edge drops all the way down to 0.28%.
Think about that delta, Katie. Slots take $15. Blackjack takes 28 cents. It is an efficiency improvement of over 5,000%.
But people are scared of blackjack, Kyle. They think you need to be Rain Man.
Which is the final myth TRG busts. He references Edward Thorpe and the 1966 computer simulations, but then he says something critical. It is an open book test.
Right. He says you can literally bring the strategy card to the table. You can put it on the felt. The dealer will even help you read it.
There is no excuse for guessing. The answers are in your pocket. But even with a perfect strategy, you still need to know what to do with the winnings.
Which brings us to casino wisdom number 93, the tax envelope strategy.
We are opening the Book of Wisdom. In Episode 2, TRG jumps all the way to entry number 93.
What to do when you win. This is the part most people skip. They just shove the cash in their pocket and lose it the next week.
Correct. TRG establishes a strict protocol for larger wins. He uses a hypothetical $1,000 win as the baseline.
And the breakdown is surprisingly wholesome. The first $50 to $100, immediate cash donation to charity.
Then comes the fiscal responsibility. $200 goes into an envelope marked taxes and is locked in a safe. As he notes, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Then another $200 goes to bills or debt, and then $200 goes into the general bank account.
And finally, the reinvestment. The last $300 goes into the future gambling envelope to rebuild the war chest.
But my favorite part was the treat yourself rule. He mentioned buying cameras, lenses, or a ring with his winnings.
It is a psychological firewall. As he stated, it is way more difficult to lose a camera or a ring back to the casino than it is to lose back money.
You can't put a camera lens in a slot machine. It turns the win into a permanent trophy. But hold up, is that where he got the horseshoe diamond ring I've seen in the pictures? Is that the ring that gives him the power to change names and dates to protect the innocent and the guilty? The ring that is used to count when people joined the Inner Circle or the Excelsior Brigade?
Analysis indicates that is where he got the horseshoe ring, but that is not the ring that gives him the power to change names and dates to protect the innocent and the guilty. The ring with the CK Casino Combat logo is where he gets those powers. It is kind of like Green Lantern's ring. I have reviewed the timeline. He doesn't have that ring yet. He hasn't won that money yet.
So he has won a ring, not the ring.
Correct. And you can't have winnings if you don't have a place to play, which brings us to the travel segment and the origin of the idea of a casino cluster.
We are hitting the road. This is the pandemic road trip segment, and it is the origin story for the strategy known as the casino cluster.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
This message is sponsored by Greenlight. With school out, summer is the perfect time to teach our kids real-world money skills they'll use forever. Greenlight is a debit card and the #1 family finance and safety app used by millions of families, helping kids learn how to save, invest, and spend wisely. Parents can send their kids money and track their spending and saving, while kids build money confidence and skills in fun ways. Start your risk-free Greenlight trial today at greenlight.com/Spotify. That's greenlight.com/Spotify.
It starts with a painful investment. TRG booked the room at full price, over $300.
It was a strategic loss. He was seeding the ground, but the conditions were hostile. 30% capacity, plexiglass barriers, and a critical infrastructure failure, the ice shortage.
I loved this detail. The health department banned the ice machines, so TRG had to go buy a 5-pound bag of ice just to survive the weekend. That is survivalist gambling.
But despite the chaos, they turned a profit. He reported walking away with roughly 1 week's pay.
And more importantly, they found the asset. Mrs. TRG heard a rumor that an old contact named Bubba was back in the building.
TRG texted an old number. Bubba replied immediately, "I'm your host unless you want someone else."
And just like that, the sold-out hotel suddenly had a comped room for Friday night.
That is the host override. Algorithms say no, Bubba says yes. But this trip wasn't just about one casino. TRG lays out the plan for the casino cluster.
2 casinos, 1 hour apart. You hit one for lunch and free play, then drive to the other for the room and more free play.
And he mentions that he has a reservation next week at a second property. He calls it Casino 2.
Wait, Casino 2. Kyle, this is it.
Elaborate.
For the listeners trying to join the Inner Circle or the Excelsior Brigade, finding the real-world name of Casino 2 is the requirement. This is the first breadcrumb.
Affirmative. He mentions it is in a bordering state, and it is opening next week.
I am literally grabbing a notebook right now. I am writing this down. 1 hour from Casino 1, bordering state. If you are listening and you want into the private Slack group, this is the data you need.
You are getting excited, Katie.
I am. I want to solve the puzzle. Do you know where it is?
I have already triangulated the geolocation based on the travel time and the 2020 opening schedules. The answer is stored in my encrypted drive.
You have to tell me. You should join the brigade. You can tell me I can join.
Negative. As I stated in episode 1, I am an embedded observer. I am a war correspondent for gambling. I report the news. I do not wear the jersey.
You are no fun, but TRG is about to have some fun. He's heading to the VIP lounge and he's bringing a king with him.
We are entering the virtual VIP lounge. But keep in mind, this is the budget version of 2020.
It really is. There is no bartender, there is no most must-listen segment in casino lifestyle podcasting intro. We just get Chris Jericho's "a little bit of the bubbly," and TRG tells us to serve ourselves.
He explicitly invites listeners to pour a strong one or an artisanal soda.
Artisanal soda. That was such a recurring bit in the early days. He was obsessed with fancy root beers. But I am not drinking soda today. I am pouring a double vodka with a splash of artisanal grapefruit.
Understood. I will adhere to the hydration protocol. I have secured a bottle of Bling H2O. The bottle is encrusted with Swarovski crystals.
Kyle, seriously, put the crystal water down. Have a shot of vodka with me. Just one. Loosen up those circuits.
Negative. Alcohol impedes logic.
Come on. If you have a drink, maybe you'll accidentally tell me where Casino 2 is located. I know you have the coordinates.
Nice try, Katie. The encryption is 256-bit. Your vodka cannot penetrate it.
Worth a shot. Fine. Be boring. But TRG certainly wasn't boring in this story. He walks into his high-limit room and gets stopped by a suit.
This is a critical behavioral analysis. A man in a suit blocks the archway and asks, "Who are you?"
Most people would get defensive. They'd pull out their card or explain themselves. TRG, he goes on the offense.
He counterattacks immediately. He says, "I'm here all the time and I don't know you, so why don't you start by telling me who you are?"
I love that energy. This is my room, you are the guest.
And then the floor supervisor rushes in to de-escalate. They turn the corner and we see why the security was tight. The first table is roped off.
It's the king, LeBron James.
Sitting right there in TRG's high-limit room. Now, an amateur would pull out a phone or stare. TRG executes the celebrity protocol.
He sits at an adjacent table and pretends he has no idea who LeBron is. He treats them like any other random guy named Joe.
He notes that despite LeBron's net worth, the NBA star is betting roughly the same amount as TRG.
Which is a humble brag, by the way. Oh, look at me, betting the same chips as a billionaire.
It validates the bankroll strategy, but the ending is the best part. TRG admits he never met him. He never spoke to him.
But he tells people he played blackjack with LeBron James because technically they were playing blackjack in the same room at the same time.
It is a technical truth, and that concludes our audit of Episode 2. We have learned the hierarchy of house advantage, we have established the casino cluster, and we have ignored an NBA superstar.
And I still don't know where Casino 2 is.
Keep listening, Katie. The data is out there. Initiate the ironclad closing. The engine is stable and the logic is verified. As the Great One always says, the house owns the math, we own the transaction.
If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit your state's specific helpline. This content is for informational and entertainment purposes only. Past performance is not indicative of future results. 2026 Volcanic Dingo LLC. All rights reserved. Execute the plan, trust the core concepts, stay out of the noise, and always spell concepts with a K. I hope you understand. He was born a rambling man. Goodbye, everyone.